So yesterday I hopped on IG Live to talk about this trade that I had on in ASML, to walk traders through my entire thought process, how it came on the radar, my entry strategy, where I'm placing my stop losses, how I'm managing the trade throughout, how I'm managing risk throughout that trade. And I was able to record the IG Live, and now it's going up on YouTube. So I'd like to share that with you right here, right now. Let's go. Okay, boom, we're live. What's going on, everybody? So yesterday I posted some Instagram stories about my INMD trade, and so got a lot of positive feedback about that. So I wanted to walk you through my thought process on this trade here, ASML. So the way that I analyze trades is to first see what's happening over here on the higher time frame. See what's happening on the monthly, and then my eyes come down here to the weekly chart. I want to see setups happening on the weekly time frame because that's going to allow more of a stronger move if the breakout does happen. And so what I saw over the weekend last week, let me zoom down into this weekly chart here, was this base over here, right? And this is called a flat base. So it consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it broke out on the fifth week there. So we got a nice strong move out of the base, and you saw that right there on this volume move down here, right ahead of earnings broke out. Then it reported earnings the following week, and now this week it started to break out again. But this is what I saw last weekend, right? What I saw over the weekend was it broke out on earnings, and I'm going to zoom down into the 2-hour chart. Broke out on earnings, came before earnings, came right back in, right? And then it started to test this former pivot level, right? Started to test that former pivot level. So, to me, because it's holding that pivot from the weekly chart, go back to the weekly chart real quick, right? It broke up above that former high, came back in, tested it, did not break below that former high. That's telling me that this is a new support level. So, when I am doing my plans over the weekend and I see this happening, and I see that we get this wide and loose action, right? But then it gets real tight. Look how tight that is right around the pivot. That's telling me also that this is a good spot for potential support. And so, great. That's the first part of the trade. The next thing that I want to look at is what's the reward to risk on this trade? Where am I going to enter? Where am I going to exit? And how much am I going to risk? And where is the profit target going to be? So I looked at this and I said, all right, if we pop above here, if we pop above there, that is a short-term level of resistance. And that level right over here, if you see it, is 257.17. And so that would be the entry point. The exit point on this trade would be right below here, because that's the former pivot, and even just a little bit lower down at this red dotted line, right? So support and resistance isn't just a specific level, it's more of a range. So because that initial pivot was up here at around 257, what was it? Let me go back to the weekly. Was at about 252 and change. Then I also looked down at this level over here, where the red dotted line is, and saw that, oh, like there's a potential support level down here at around 250.17. Great. So that's where where I want to place my stop loss. So now I have a stop loss down here, and I have my entry point down there. Great. So how do I figure out where the profit target is going to be? Well, that comes from having found this base pattern on the weekly chart. From the weekly chart, I want to add 20% to that pivot point. The reason why is because historically, the stocks like this that have broken out of a classic pivot point have run roughly 20%. So 20% from that move would land us at about 300. So that gives us a potential 8-to-1 reward to risk trade. So my next step in this, right? So I've got my entry point, I've got my exit point, I know where the profit target is going to be. I want to find out how much of this do I want to buy. So I come over to here, right? This thing, I call it the trade emotionator because it's going to tell you if you're being overly aggressive or not aggressive enough. So let's say we have 10 grand, right? Just to keep the numbers simple. Then we want to risk just 1%, right? So we're only going to risk $100 on this trade if we get stopped out. So we're going to enter at 257.20. Our stop loss is going to be down at 251.90. That tells us that we can buy 18.9 shares. You can't buy 0.9 of a share, so you could just round up and buy the 19. But it's also telling you that, this is a little bit aggressive. Why is it a little bit aggressive? Well, because you are using almost half of your account to get into this position, right? And so what happens if it gaps down below that 251.90? Then you're going to be in a pretty rough spot where you could lose substantially more than you had risked, right? So you want to be cognizant of that, and that's what this tool tells you. The Trade Emotionator, it's on Marrow Wealth, so just go to marrowwealth.com and you can click this button here and it pops up this free tool. I use it all the time. I just saw a question from Jay. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. I've just been rambling. Does this relate to your mind wheel? It does relate to the mind wheel. The mind wheel is something that I'm building out right now. It's actually, I would put it in number 5, right? So it's part of number 5 and it's also part of number 3 because number 3 is talking about risk and number 5 is talking about tools. And I think that the Trade Emotionator fits both of those categories. It really is an excellent tool, and Jay, Rise Online, who's in the room right now, actually helped me build all this stuff. So thank you, Jay. It really is incredible. Helped to take this Emotionator to the next level for sure. So that was the idea behind this trade here, right? So we know how much to buy. We know we have an idea of where it's going, and I always like to find trades where there's multiple levels of support, right? So it's just to show you again on the 2-hour chart. And so it breaks out, comes back in, tests that pivot line. Then all of a sudden there's support at the pivot. There's support at these other moving averages as they're working their way up. And those levels show up not just on a 2-hour chart, but they're showing up on the weekly time frame way up here. They're showing up on the daily time frame. That's where those other, that secondary level of support, that support zone came in. And it really is a great way to place your trades. You want the floor where you're placing your stuff to be super strong. I like to think of it as you could either be standing on a floor made out of wet cardboard, or you could be standing on a floor made out of cinder blocks, right? So to me, this is more of cinder blocks versus if you only had, like, say, one level of support and there's no moving averages or anything. Like let's say you were looking at, like this up here, the low of that day is support way up here. Yeah, to me that's the wet cardboard. I would not be looking at that. So that's it. I actually am trying to do a recording of this on my computer. I'm going to attempt to put this all on YouTube as well. So anybody that's not here, anybody that's part of the Traders Mind Chat room, which is this over here, can come and see the recording as well. All these ideas get posted right in here in Traders Mind Chat. You can check this room out for free. The link is in my bio. And this is the idea that was posted over the weekend, where I'm explaining the detail of what I saw, how I saw it, why I saw it, the potential R move, and all the notes that come along with the trade, and the chart patterns too. So that is it. I'll stay on for another moment or two, scroll through some of these questions, see if I can answer anything. Let's see. AA Darshek. How do you choose stocks for swing trading? Excellent question. So the way that I choose stocks for swing trading is through my system, which is called Eagle. And let me actually pop up in another tab what this is. So I'm going to pop open the Trade Evaluator, which is another tool that I made, that I use, that helps me figure this stuff out. But it's basically this over here. Let me scroll through it. So it's this acronym EAGLE. And what it stands for is Extraordinary Earnings, Sales, and or Projections. So I'm looking to see if the stock has these qualities. It needs to have at least something in here in order for it to pass. I want it to have earnings, sales, and or projections, and the reason why is because, historically speaking, those are the things that have led to stocks making incredible moves of 100, 200, 500% or more in a very short period of time. Take a look at Beyond, right? Like right now, Beyond is done, right? Beyond has been collapsing now for a long time, but when it first IPO'd way back here, it had extraordinary sales, 200% quarter over quarter, extraordinary projections, and it made a run of about 400%, over 400% in only 8 weeks, right? So that's the catalyst. We want to trade the best of the best stocks. We want to trade those 1% of stocks because that's what's going to give us the best chance for success. And then coming down here, aiming for high probability, high reward to risk trades. And I have all the things that I'm looking for in a base pattern while I'm trying to find different kinds of stocks. We want the industry group rank to be high. Well, which industry it's in. We want fund ownership to be increasing, management to own a bit of the company. If management owns a strong amount of the company, then they are more inclined to behave in the way of the shareholder. Now, what's best for the shareholder? We want the stock to be a leader both in the market and among its peers, and we also want to be trading with the trend. I take all that stuff, I put it into this weighted average checklist, and it tells me how great of a stock or how great of an idea this is. So that's the Trade Evaluator. That is the system that I use, the Eagle trading system. And if you guys wanted to learn more about that, I'm happy to jump on a call with you. You can book a call with me right here on MaraWealth.com. Go to coaching, and you could book a free sesh with me for 20 minutes. Let me see. Any other quick questions that I could answer? All right, cool. It looks like that's it for questions for right now. I want to thank everybody for hopping on this IG Live with me. And yeah, I'm aiming to put this on YouTube. Hopefully the recording came out right. And we'll be doing a lot more of these as we move forward. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.